Time to talk about one of my favorite gaming series of all time, Sonic the Hedgehog. And I figured, what better place to start than from the beginning? Sonic the Hedgehog is one of the most classic and iconic characters of all time, easily one of the most recognizable gaming characters. He was originally created as Sega's competitor to Mario, though he quickly gained an identity of his own. Enough rambling though, let's get on to the game itself. The game starts you off in Green Hill Zone. Can I just say that one of my favorite things about the Sonic series is how they refer to things as zones and acts rather than levels and worlds. It was extremely unique for the time. Anyway, Green Hill Zone is an intentionally easy level meant for your experimentation. It's here where you learn the basic rules and physics of the game, how to kill enemies using jumping or rolling, and how different power-ups work. Also, you'll learn the purpose of gathering rings. It also introduces you to the series' trademark, loop-de-loops. Fun fact, the loops in the original Sonic game didn't exist for style like the others do. It was put there to slow Sonic down, because if he would have ran along in a straight line, he would have went off the screen because of how fast he was. The Genesis wasn't powerful enough to handle a character like that. Next, we have Marble Hill Zone. The difficulty increases here because they assume if you've gotten this far, you know what you're doing. There are now worm-like enemies that you can't just jump on like the others. You actually have to strategize and think to kill them, which I never end up doing because I'm a reckless player, but still, it's great enemy design. A great example of good level design happens in this instance. As you're moving forward through the level, you hit a switch. You notice that it moves the platform, but when you jump off of it, the platform goes back down. This tells the player that they need to move the box on top of the switch. It's always great to see the game teaching you something through gameplay, rather than directly telling you. I think that's great game design. One final thing I've always noticed about Marble Hill is that it's the second zone, and it's a lava level. Traditionally in games, the lava level is at the end, but Sonic isn't afraid of breaking tradition. The next zone is Spring Hill Zone, probably one of the least memorable places to me. Nothing bad in design, just nothing really stuck out to me. Except for maybe this armadillo enemy. He's pretty cool, I guess. I was always annoyed by the springs that kept pushing you back, but I guess this does teach you not to just rush through levels, and that does increase the difficulty, so it's okay. One final thing. I loved how the sky is pink in order to represent a sunset. You see, I never noticed this as a kid, but Sonic the Hedgehog takes place in one day. It starts off with sunrise, goes to sunset, and transitions into nighttime. That's pretty cool that Sonic can do all of this in one day. The next zone is the Labyrinth Zone, probably one of the most infamous levels in the series' history. Definitely my least favorite place to be in this game. So all of the physics you spent a nice 3 zones and 9 acts learning get tossed right out the window. Instead, Sonic is going underwater, but rather than swimming like other video game characters of the time, Sonic lacks this ability. So he has to do the same sort of platforming he's been doing, but underwater. Even though his jump is increased slightly, he runs a lot slower, and this is a terrible thing in a game that revolves around speed. The difficulty comes from the physics themselves, rather than making challenging platforms. When you get out of the water, it's quite literally a breath of fresh air. Next is my favorite, Starlight Zone. In terms of level design, it doesn't add too many new things. The main thing about this level is introducing you to mines that explode once you get close to them. I like how rather than exploding the second you touch them, they give you a moment to at least try and escape. That way, if they do explode on you, you feel like it was your fault and not the game. Also, in my opinion, this is one of the most beautiful levels in the game. Like I said earlier, the entire game takes place in one day, and it's now nighttime and Sonic's made it into the city. The effects of the stars look perfect and 3-dimensional. The city setting was an excellent choice for a nighttime level. The level is just visually appealing to the eye, and definitely a blast to speed through. Finally, we've made it to Scrap Brain Zone, and since it is the final zone, it's obviously going to be the hardest. Remember what I said earlier though about how it was nice that the mines gave you a chance to escape and it felt like if you did get hit by them it was your fault? I really wish they would have mimicked that style a little bit more here. There are openings at the beginning that will kill you instantly. This is definitely a trial and error kind of level, and it will take you some time to beat. Honestly, if you're having trouble and end up with a game over like I did, I'd recommend going to the title screen, pressing up, down, left, right, holding A, and then hitting start so you can get into a level of select. Is it cheating? Sort of, but this level is extremely hard, and I'd hate to see you start all the way over at the beginning just because of one little death. Finally, there's Final Zone, appropriately named. This is where you'll have your final showdown with Dr. Robotnik, which is pretty underwhelming in my opinion. The only real challenge is that there's no rain. But the main way of dying is crushing anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So there you have it, my opinion on the original Sonic game. Is it perfect? No, but it's definitely worth a check out.